I hope you still want to continue the interview after this question. Did the Cowboys just retire your good buddy Tom Brady?
I think that Tom has played for a very long time. I think that Tom's going to take some time and look at what he wants to do next, because his options, quite frankly, from his vantage point, I would assume are all good.
Sure.
Whether he stays with Tampa, whether he moves to another team or moves into the broadcast booth, he doesn't have a bad play in that respect. But you got to give Dallas all the credit in the world. Dak looked like the Dak we all have come to expect and love, quite frankly. Just a machine. He was on fire, putting the ball exactly where it needed to be placed on every pass. I probably saw 3 bad passes out of him the whole game. So really, really excited about his play. Actually, I've really enjoyed the Cowboys' defensive front. How they got after Brady. Anybody watching that game, as you can imagine, they always have a plethora of texts flying back and forth and so on and so forth amongst the peer group. And the takeaway, certainly from my vantage point, is that the Cowboys kind of showed Brady's age, really couldn't move, and they really got after him, moved him off his spot. And consequently, Brady was off target, out of sync, however you want to phrase it. He was not his normal self, and in part that was due to the Cowboys' defensive pass.
Merton Hanks joined us here on the K&C Masterpiece on 105.3 The Fan. And Merton, you know how I feel about you on the field. Off the field, I think you won me over the last time we spoke, and I was really, really happy about that we had a human connection there. Somebody did ask earlier, did you grow up, because you grew up in Lake Highlands, did you grow up a Cowboys fan? And I don't think we ever addressed that last time.
No, my mother's a Cowboys fan, but I'm not.
Okay, all right.
What's interesting is, obviously you're familiar, obviously, with the area where we grew up. It's kind of Stoltz Road, right in between Greenville and Coit, Royal Lane, that area.
Yes.
Rod Newhouse family, my good friend and teacher Doug Adams and Dwayne Tanner and I, we would referee Roger Staubach's kids' soccer games and those type of things. So Tony Dorsett obviously would be in the barbershop with us, and so on and so forth. So the individual players that we had the great opportunity to grow up with that were in our community, love those guys to death to this day. But cheering individually for the Cowboys, no, I can't say that would be the case.
Yes.
Okay, I want to follow up about that, because I feel like we've had this debate before, but your mom would be rooting for you in all of these NFC Championship games, right?
She would be rooting for my health. To make sure I came through healthy, but she would be rooting for the Cowboys.
What?
There's no question about that.
Well, I mean, like I've always said, man, it's the laundry a lot of times.
Wow.
Now, Merton, a lot of people, we've been kind of having this discussion back and forth all day. It's like, hey, who's going to cover Deebo Samuel? And as a guy that would have had the opportunity to maybe even line up against him or try to stop him, I'm less concerned about covering him and more concerned about tackling him. How would you, when you were playing safety, how would you approach a guy like Deebo?
Well, I think let's back up a little bit in that respect. I think you have to approach the 49ers more as a formation issue as opposed to an individual player issue. Deebo's not going to, obviously your fan base is well-schooled in offensive terminology. Deebo's not going to line up at the X receiver position off the ball 80% of the time. The 49ers are going to go with certain formations. And I think you're going to, from a defense standpoint, you're going to have to play the formations first and then adjust to who's in those formations. Watching the 49ers against the last opponent, they had Christian McCaffrey, for instance, kind of in a slot position. They fake a pitch, I believe, to Mason one way and hit McCaffrey on a quick slant. That's a formation issue. So while you always have to be aware where people are at, I think the Cowboys, first and foremost, as they're breaking down film on the 49ers, they need to really hone in my opinion, on what do they like to do out of certain formations, and then we can focus in on who's in those particular positions.
As a former safety, do you kind of admire what Dan Quinn has done? I mean, sometimes he's got 4 safeties on the field, running that out there because he's like, I want big that can also match up with these receivers as well.
Well, that's another reason. Again, I think it's obvious who I'm cheering for, but at the same time, I got to give credit where due. Al Harris, the defense backs coach for the 49ers, or for the Cowboys, has done a phenomenal job. He's got those young men playing exceptionally well. And Dan Quinn has really turned that front seven loose. It doesn't hurt that you got a 4.40 guy in number 11 coming around the corner. He helps everybody be probably a little better than what they really are outside of DeMarcus Lawrence, who I just think that guy's a stud. So they got great pass rush. They've got, in my opinion, opportunistic secondary play that are playing really well right now. Again, if they hone in on the formations of what the 49ers are trying to get done, I think they'll show up and do okay.
We were talking a lot about the back-to-back NFC Championship games. I get why 94 would stand out for you. I was just kind of curious, maybe this wasn't the case as much in 92, but in 93 and 94, were those games like, well, we know this is essentially the Super Bowl? Like, was that ever discussed, or was that the general vibe going in? Because, like, as a fan, I was younger, but that was my take on it.
Yeah, that was the general vibe. I think that'd be accurate to say. And you never want to disrespect the Super Bowl by saying this is the Super Bowl, but you knew that you were going to have to put forth a Herculean effort if you wanted to advance. To this day, outside of certainly the 1994 49er team, that 92 team, when we played Dallas in San Francisco, that's the best football team outside of that Super Bowl team I've ever played them, and really thought that it would have represented NFC well. Kudos to the Cowboys for coming in and doing what they need to do to win that game. So just tremendous. I really look forward to, because this is good for business, as I like to say.
Oh, yeah.
The NFL is a better product when you have the Cowboys playing well and you have the 49ers playing well. And when you have those teams able to meet in the playoffs. I saw a great stat the other day that you have a rivalry for every generation. You got a rivalry for your granddad, Cowboys 49ers, your dad, your siblings, and now you're the younger generation enjoying the NFL product. So exciting stuff.
That is a great point. With that in mind, do you think like the NFL from a business perspective would be secretly cheering for the Cowboys because they bring with them a pretty consistent 8 to 10 million people ratings bump in every game they're in?
Well, the NFL will never say it, but I think that those two franchises, from a worldwide fan standpoint, are certainly in the upper echelon of any conversation regarding NFL franchises and ability to connect with the average consumer. And while I certainly give Cowboy fans credit for showing up and supporting their team, those 49er fans, they show up everywhere. I mean, to the point where other stadiums, we saw what happened here at AT&T last year when they came through. We seen what happened with the world champion LA Rams this year, where 49 fans basically took over the stadium.
Yeah.
So they travel well. There's a lot of fans. I think the NFL wins with either one of those franchises moving forward.
When Alvin Harper makes that catch over Eric Davis, is there was it one of those, man, that was just a great catch moments, or what was the discussion there? Do you remember?
And this happens every game. Sometimes a player makes a play, and that's a defensive back. You're in the right position. You've done everything right. And sometimes they just make a play that you got to tip your cap to. Hey, great play. You got me there, but I'm going to line up and come back at you again. So Eric Davis is one of my great friends, great competitor. Alvin came up with a great play. You tip your cap and you come back and try to be better next play.
We're talking with Merton Hanks right here on 105 Through the Fan. We, and I feel like national media in general, have talked Dak to death. What are your thoughts about Brock Purdy thus far in his early career?
I think he's done very well, obviously, because winning is so difficult in the National Football League. He has made sure that the playmakers in the 49ers are seeing the ball. The tight end, Kittle really exploded once Purdy came in. He's distributing the ball well. When he does miss and make a mistake, it's not catastrophic, which is what you need. He's not a guy that's out there just chunking interceptions and so on and so forth. And so I think he's done really well. I'm always, look, he's a rookie. I'm always concerned about rookies, especially when you get into these divisional and above rounds. So hopefully he can stay grounded and keep the mentality of get the ball out of your hands, put them in your playmakers' hands, and away you go. And as far as Dak is concerned, look, I personally just don't understand it at this point. If anyone, I think our Cowboys fans have forgotten what it's like not to have a decent quarterback.
Fair.
I think they've forgotten. I think there's some hubris there. Dak is balling. That guy, trust me, if Mr. Jones wanted to allow him to test the waters, a whole bunch of organizations would love to come get him because he's a great package on the field, and he does everything right off the field. He's a leader that you want in your franchise. I'm a big Dak fan. He does it right.
Yeah, represents very well. And before
kind of sounds like he's a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, just a little bit.
The safeties coach. You love Dak. Kind of feels like you could be a Cowboys fan.
I recognize, and one of the great things about this rivalry, and I know you both will appreciate this. You recognize when others are doing it correctly. You recognize when others are doing it right. So win or lose, you know that. On the other side, look, they put that thing together right. Now let's figure out what we need to do to counteract it, right?
Yes.
So, and look, that's what you're going to have in San Francisco because I keep saying it, they got some dudes at key positions on the offense and defense side of the ball. So it's going to be a tough struggle for San Francisco. I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you can look at, even though San Francisco defense has been at least a top 3 defense in the National Football League, they've given up some big plays in the secondary. That bodes well for our downfield passing attack, that sort of thing. Consequently, they got some dudes on the offense side of the ball, and they're all healthy. I think this is the first time Christian McCaffrey's not been on the injury report in 10 weeks.
Yep.
So on and so forth. So the challenge is there, no question about it. It's always a tough trip to go play in the Bay Area, and I think certainly all of professional football fans are looking forward to seeing that matchup for sure.
It's definitely, I think Patrick Walker put it in his article on DallasCowboys.com, and he said this is 2 bulls locking horns. And I think I'm hoping it turns out to be that kind of fun matchup for us. Merton, we really appreciate your time, man. Always enjoy hearing you because I think you have a great appreciation for the game of football. Always enjoy talking to you, man.
I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great day now.
There you go.